Welcome back at my channel. We are here at my office and today I like to show you a nice little trick that's helpful if you're a custom painter. But not only if you're a custom painter, also if you're a bike mechanic or if you want to do a service on your bike yourself. What I have here is a Scott Spark and I have to change this paint scheme to another one. But before I can start painting, I have to remove some smaller parts and also the hydraulic brake lines and the shifting wires. And I like to show you a little trick that's helpful to remove these brake lines and to reassemble the brake lines inside the frame. You can use it also for the shifting wires, but I like to show you especially how to remove and to mount these hydraulic brake lines because there are some smaller parts that need to be changed or removed as well. Let's check the tools needed. What you need are pincers and a box of wrenches and also a roll of welding wire. The welding wire is needed for my little trick. You can use every wire you like, but it must be very thin and stiff. The welding wire is 0.8 millimeter and it fits perfect inside the brake line. Let's start to disconnect the brake line and to dismount the brake. If you want to change only the brake line, there's no need to dismount the brake, but I have to dismount all parts because I do a new paint job. So you can skip forward to the brake line step if you only want to change the brake line. But stop, I have two little tips for you before we start. The first one is make photos or do photos of all parts that are on the frame and you like to remove, of all screws. And the second tip is use a little box, a little tray or such a little cup to collect all screws so no screw gets lost. And these two tips make it easy to reassemble the frame because it's a huge pain in the ass and it can ruin your day if you realize there's one little screw left and you have no idea where to mount it on the frame. Maybe you are a genius and you're saying, what is he talking about? Why should I do photos? I know my frame. But what I can tell you is that I do this job for more than 20 years and I use these photos very often and I'm lucky to have these photos. Let's start to dismount the brake. Be prepared also with some paper towels because there can be brake fluid left in the brake line. And if you don't want to ruin your carpet or your workshop floor, use these paper towels to clean the brake line after you have removed it. I have to remove this or unbolt this screw and another one that holds the brake in place, that connects the brake to the frame. And you can skip this step if you only want to change the brake line. But you have also to dismount this brake line as I do. Put the screw out, put it in the box, we need it later to connect the brake line again. Clean the brake line if there's fluid inside, also the brake. And the next step is to remove the tubular stiffener and this little pink olive. Maybe your olive is silver or golden, but it's the same. You have to remove these two parts. And if you are blessed with luck, you can unscrew the tubular stiffener. Sometimes it's hard squeezed inside this tube and you can't remove it. I like to show you in detail what I have to remove. The silver tubular stiffener and my pink olive. Maybe yours is golden or silver, but you have to remove these two parts. And when it's too tight, too hard squeezed to the tube, you have to cut the tube in this height and you have to mount a new tubular stiffener and also such a new olive. Wish me luck and fingers crossed that I can remove this olive. I use this little hex wrench. And it seems that I'm blessed with luck, I can remove the olive. Put it in your box, you need it later on. And we are ready for my trick. I have to put the tools beside because I need some space on my table. Also the welding wire. And what we need are 2 parts of welding wire. They should be a little bit longer than your brake line. Maybe 2 meters is a good size. You can measure your brake line and you can add 40 to 50 centimeter, and that's a good length of this welding wire. What I have to do is I have to stick it inside the brake line before I dismount the brake line. You have to start at the end of the frame. There's a little O-ring. I like to show you this O-ring. Here it is. And in this O-ring there's a small hole where the brake fluid hits the brake, and you have to put this welding wire inside this little hole. Sometimes it's a hard job to do, sometimes it works very easy. Let's see if we can put it in. I got luck and it works very easy. And you have to pull the complete welding wire through the brake line until it sticks out at the end, or in this case at the beginning of the brake line. It takes a while, take your time. Don't hurry. And here we are. It should look like this. We have 40 centimeter left of the welding wire. And what I do now is I do a little hook at the end. So the welding wire can't slip back in the frame. I like to show you my little hook. That's enough. And now you're ready to remove the brake line. You can pull it out carefully, make sure the hook stays in place. You can hold it when you pull out the brake line so it don't slip back in the frame. And sometimes you have small rubber parts. You have to remove these rubber parts because they hold the brake line in place. Here you can see such a rubber part that sticks inside the frame. Remove these parts. That makes it easy to pull the brake line through the frame. You can use also some grease. You can grease your brake line if these rubber parts don't move. If they are a little bit old, some years, it's hard to remove these parts. And then you can also remove the welding wire. You can pull it outside the brake line. And we are done. The brake line is removed and I can change to the paint booth. But I like to show you also the second step, how I mount this brake line again. I have to dismount this brake line in a second step because I like to paint this frame. But I like to show you also how easy it is to mount the brake line again. And for the second step you need the other part of this welding wire. And you have to stick it again inside the brake line. Why do I use 2 parts of this welding wire? I like to show you. If you use this one, you have to start at the front end of the brake line, and that's not a good idea because at the O-ring you can't stick out this welding wire. It will stop at the end of the welding of the brake line before it came out. So you have to put inside a new one at the end by hand. It's the same step as you did before. Put it inside the little hole and pull it through the complete brake line until it sticks out at the end. Sometimes it's a little bit hard, sometimes easy, so take your time. And here we are. Now we need the pincers, and I use also a little tape, and we have to connect these two parts of welding wire. I have to hook them. Two little hooks. I can connect these hooks. Use the pincers. To connect them. They slipped off. And I use some tape because these hooks can cause a stop inside the frame, and you don't want to stop the brake line inside the frame. So use tape, any tape you have, wrap it around. And the tape avoids a stop inside the frame, and that is what we want. Now the two parts of welding wire are connected, and we can reassemble the brake line. It's the same step in reverse, but make sure you have mounted all rubber parts in the right order, because it's a slap in the face if you notice that one rubber part is missing, so you have to remove the brake line again. And to check the right order, your photos are very helpful. So do a photo and check the photo again before mounting these brake lines. This one is a fully, so I will pull the brake line through the wipe, the rear end. Put the rubber parts on, and then I can pull the brake line through the down tube. And here we are, the brake line is reassembled, and as you see, it's very easy. I hope you like this video. I have to remove the brake line again because I want to do a paint job, but thanks for watching this video. Leave a comment if you want to check also some of my other videos, and see you soon. I will remove all these parts, change to the paint booth, and do another painting video for you. Goodbye.